To kick it off with Carrie Viola-Brooke. Carrie is the brand new Executive Director of Child Enrichment in the CSRA. And Carrie, congratulations on your job. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
16 years you've served child enrichment and those sweet children who come to your door. So this really wasn't that much of a transition to be the boss, was it?
No, not too much.
Yeah. How's it going so far?
It's good. Dan Hillman had just retired, so it's big shoes to fill, but I learned a lot from him while I was working under him.
Yeah, Dan did a wonderful job, and he was no stranger to the Means Report, sat in Carrie's chair many times, and we certainly wish him the best in his well-deserved retirement. Why did you decide to get into this line of work? It seems, I can't think of something more challenging or something for at least a good part of it sadder than what you do.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny the way I got into it. I'm not from Georgia, so I moved here for a completely different purpose. And I went to grad school and I interned at the Child Advocacy Center at Child Enrichment. And that still was not my career path that I had envisioned myself going on. And then when I finished my internship, I just couldn't see myself being anywhere else. The work we did was so meaningful to all the kids that we served that when a position was open, I just knew that that's where I needed to stay. And I've been there ever since.
The work you do, meaning taking a child from his or her darkest place and putting them out somewhere better?
Exactly. Like my theory on it is we can't change what happened to the kids before they step in our door, but we can change kind of what happens when they leave.
How could we picture the role of people at Child Enrichment? Are you sort of a go-between between the abused child and the court system?
Yeah, so we have two programs. So we have the Child Advocacy Center, and then we also have the CASA program, the Court-Appointed Special Advocates. So each of those programs are a little bit different. When we're talking about the Court-Appointed Special Advocates, the CASAs, they definitely are the in-between between the child and the court system. So what they do is our CASAs train community volunteers to be court-appointed advocates, just that. They get training and then they work on the best interest of the child. So they'll meet with the child, they will find out how the child's doing, what resources they need, if they need a medical, if they need counseling, if their visits are going well. And then what that volunteer does is they will write a report and they give it to the judge. And the judge uses that report when making a decision on what's going to happen next with that child's placement.
What is child abuse? Spanking them, giving them a whipping with a belt? What's child abuse?
So, great question. It varies. There's all different types of child abuse. So we have child sexual abuse, we have physical abuse, neglect. We also hear a lot of now of commercially sexually exploited children, things like that. So those are the main types of abuse we see at Child Enrichment.
Who abuses their kids? What's the typical abuser look like?
That is a great question that you asked, because I remember being in school and learning about the creepy man in the van and stranger danger, things like that, and we should still teach kids about stranger danger, but that is not the majority of things that we're seeing at Child Enrichment. We are not seeing kids getting abused by that creepy person in the van hanging outside of parks. It is somebody that the child knows. It's sometimes a family member, somebody close to the child and to the family.
Why do people abuse children?
If we knew that answer, I think that hopefully we would all be out of business.
Yeah, it's tough, but I mean, it has to come from someplace. Do you find a common thread that runs through most of the abusers that come your way?
It really varies, and that's what I really want society to realize, is that there isn't a typical spokesperson type look of somebody who abuses children. It can be male, it can be female, it can be all different ethnicities, all different ages, all different socioeconomic backgrounds. There isn't a specific type of person that abuses children, which really makes it important that we stay aware of that, so that as adults, we're aware to make sure we're protecting children.
Is there a gender that's abused more?
So not really. When we're looking at child enrichment stats, it's pretty even in the CASA side, so the court-appointed special advocates, so kids that have come into foster care that CASAs are appointed to. On the Child Advocacy Center side, it's a little bit higher females being abused, especially looking at sexual abuse, but that is not to eliminate the fact that boys are sexually abused, physically abused as well.
And is there a part of town or a part of the Tuesday where it happens more often?
Not really, and I think sometimes people have that misconception that, oh, it's just in that neck of the woods or just in this bad area that abuse is happening. It's not. It happens everywhere.
And y'all serve the entire Central Savannah River area.
So our CASA program serves the Augusta Judicial Circuit, which is Richmond County, Columbia County, and Burke County.
Yeah.
Our Child Advocacy Center historically has just served the Augusta Judicial Circuit, so those same 3 counties. But starting in December, we opened up an office in Thompson, and we serve the Toombs Judicial Circuit. So that's McDuffie, Lincoln, Glasscock, Warren, Tolliver, and Wilkes County.
How's it going over there? Y'all staying busy?
Yeah, it's going really well. They never had a CAC before Child Enrichment opened one there. So the numbers, we were seeing some, but once we kind of got into that community, our numbers had increased a lot.
How does it work? Who can take a child to the CAC, the Child Advocacy Center for Safety, and how do they do it?
So with the Child Advocacy Center, our referrals come from law enforcement or DFACS or a judge.
They'll go to a house, they'll spot it, they call you.
Exactly. So, or somebody makes a report. A teacher makes a report, a mandated reporter calls into the reporting line. DFACS opens a case, or somebody goes to the police station and makes a report. DFACS or law enforcement open a case, and then they call the Child Advocacy Center. We're written into the child abuse protocols for both circuits as the place where children have to get interviewed. So instead of them going to law enforcement or DFACS and getting talked to at a police station or something like that, they come to our center, which is child-friendly, a neutral environment, and one of our trained forensic interviewers meets with them. The interview is recorded, and law enforcement and DFACS are in another room watching, so that hopefully the purpose is we're eliminating the number of times children have to talk about the abuse.
What's your goal when you get them in your door? To make them stop hurting, or to get something on tape to bust the abuser?
It's really to make them stop hurting. We're not part of law enforcement and DFACS, so we don't really have a purpose in that. Our goal is really to be child first. We follow what's called the child first doctrine. The child comes first before anything else, before the needs of law enforcement, before the needs of DFACS, before the needs of the parent. We really make sure we're not pushing that child to make them more uncomfortable or more trauma to them. We want to make sure we have really trauma-informed care. That's a big kind of word getting talked about. We don't want to cause any more damage or impact these children in a negative way because they've already been through so much before they walk in our door. We want to just make it as painless as possible for them.
What are some of the symptoms of child abuse? What can people like us, what can teachers look for?
Yeah, so teachers, I'm glad you brought that up. They are so vital to the protection of children. They are the first line of defense. They're the ones that see these kids all the time. So some of the things we want to look for is if drastic changes in children's behavior. If all of a sudden a child is extremely withdrawn, they're not talking in class, really just a big mood change. We also want to look for if there's concerns of all of a sudden with young kids, they used to love when dad would come and pick them up, and now all of a sudden they don't want dad to pick them up. There's a big change in that behavior. That should be a red flag. Maybe what happened? How come they don't want to do that? When we're talking about physical abuse, we want to see if a child's in pain, if they're having difficulty walking or sitting, bruises, unexplained bruises or marks. If a child's not able to say how they got that black eye, we want to know that's a concern. What happened there?
What do you think about, and this is sort of what I mentioned off the top, people who spank their children?
So we live in Georgia and corporal punishment is legal, but there's a lot of research out there that the negative effects that can have later on in life, especially to spanking children when they're extremely older. There's not a lot of benefit to that.
Yeah.
So we should really be looking at other forms of discipline to kind of work on that behavior changes as opposed to corporal punishment.
Well, I want to find out what happens to the children. You've touched on it already, but really once they get into the system and how you can help usher them through it to make sure they come out on the other side better. And we're going to do that as our coverage of the Child Enrichment Center and the work that they do continues right here on News Channel 6. You're watching the Means Report.